Well, good morning and welcome to the Lee Michaels Show on the powerofvoices.com, Facebook, and YouTube. Yes. Welcome to the show. It is Thursday. Wow. What happened? The week is almost over. And here we are. Thank you for joining us today. Today, we're going to have a special guest on the phone with us. We're going to talk about some economy stuff. We're going to talk about gold and silver and the stock market, where we are and where we're going to go. Is there a recession in the air? Or is it still a bull market? Are we still going to see the stock market to do well and grow? Or has it topped out and is looking over its shoulder now? Well, Joseph Meyer, who's been on the show before, he's been in the stock market business and a mediator on the stock market when things go awry. They call in Uncle Joe, and he gets it straight. So he's going to be on with us in about 10 minutes or so. So hang around for that. That should be very informative. I want to make sure that you are on point on this because this is the real deal. Joe knows what's going on. Of course, things are still crazy on the D.C. front, to say the least. Our president has lost his freaking mind, and I don't know that he can even recover at this point. He's gloating right now because Mueller has said he's not being looked at as in the criminal investigation, but a subject. Well, I submit to you, that's just to have him lower his guard a bit. But if his name is coming up, it has to. Come on. So the investigation continues, and I'm very happy about that because we need to know one way or the other exactly what went down. We know the Russians were involved. We can't deny that any longer. That's undeniable. There's enough evidence to prove that the Russians interfered with our election. And Mueller and his team are doing the right thing by following the money trail. And it's always about money, folks. Come on. It's always about the money. People at that level don't do anything unless it's about money. Don't get it twisted. It's all about money. Millions, hundreds of millions, billions of dollars. How do you think Trump has gained his wealth? Screwing people, taking advantage of situations, bankrupt companies when necessary, don't pay his bills. He's a criminal. And those of you who voted for him either were stuck on stupid or you're part of the same mindset. So pick your poison. I'm just saying. I'm not making this up. And like my coffee cup says, it's all good. What I got in this cup is all good. I got some decaffeinated coffee, and it's all good. But let me just say this. What we're dealing with here is nothing like I've ever seen in my lifetime. This administration has so much controversy going on that it's just, I can't digest all of it. Now, let me tell you how clever this guy is. Well, he's not really clever because we can see through it. He's been so consistent of being a distractor that, hey, we know what he is. We know. We don't have to think about it. We don't have to guess at it. We know who he is, what he's all about. It's all about him and his cronies and his crooked-ass family members. I said it, and I'm not taking it back. That's what it's all about, folks. Just like sending troops down to the border. What do you think that is? Is it necessary? Allegedly, the crossing of the border is at an all-time low. So what do you need to send the military down there for? It's a distraction. It's an unnecessary expense, just like we have to pay every time this son of a gun goes down to Florida and play golf every weekend. And he had the nerve to criticize Barack Obama. President Barack Obama, might I say. He had the nerve to criticize how often he played golf. And this guy doesn't miss a stroke every weekend. You pay, your tax dollars pay for that crew. The Secret Service has to be there in advance. They probably live down there now. There's a bunch of guys that are the forward group that have to go in advance every time the president leaves that White House. There's a group of Secret Service men and women that have to go there first to secure the grounds, to make sure it's a safe environment for this guy. That costs money. Hundreds of thousands of dollars every time this guy gets on a plane. You think the fuel just for nothing? You think the oil industry just gives it to him? Well, maybe they might do it. Give him a discount. But look, it costs lots of money to move this guy and his administration around. Same thing with the vice president. Somebody has to bear the cost, and it's us. It's coming out of our tax dollars, coming out of the Treasury. And that's where our tax dollars go. That's how the government works. So today we're going to talk a lot about money. The mean green, the dollar bills, y'all. Money, 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 money. Now, a special guest here coming up in about 5 minutes now is going to be Joseph Meyer. And I'll let him tell you a little bit about his background, and, that way you'll hear it firsthand. But I've known Joe now for about 5 years. I've had him on the show here before. I had him on my show when I was doing a talk show on U.S. Talk Network and USA Talk Network. And he's a very dear friend and colleague of Andre Egliston, who has also been on the show. So he comes with serious credibility. So when I bring him on, I want you guys to listen, because I'm going to ask him some very pointed questions about our economy, about precious metals, whether it's a good idea or not. We're going to talk about Bitcoin. Is it legit? Is it worth investing in? Or is it just fool's gold? Well, we hear it from Joe. Joe's been around this for a long, long time, so we want to make sure we get it from an expert, at least his opinion of it. And he might say it's all good. I don't know what he's going to say. I really don't, because I haven't asked him these questions in advance. So we'll learn together what Joe thinks about these different things that are going on, whether it's Bitcoin or gold, silver, the stock market. Is it going up? Is it going down? Is there a recession in front of us? Happy days over with on Wall Street? We're going to find out all of those questions and more when Joseph Meyer joins us here in just a few minutes. So as I indicated, the investigation moves forward, and they didn't capture, but they stopped some Russians yesterday at the airport. I think it was in New York. And they questioned these guys. They even confiscated one of their cell phones. So when they go in like that, when they take your cell phone, they're looking for something to confirm what they already know. That's how that works. They're not just say, hey, let me check out your cell phone and see who you've been talking to. They already know, but they want to confirm it. See, when the FBI, the CIA, the Boy Scouts of America, and Mueller gets on your case, they already have a strong notion they have evidence, and all they're trying to do is collaborate the evidence that they have in front of them. So understand, God forbid, if you're ever faced with these guys, they already know. They know what they know. Otherwise, they wouldn't be talking to you. They want to see what else you can give them, what kind of deal they can cut with you. But they already know. They're far along on their investigation by the time they ask you to come and sit down and talk with them. And trust me when I tell you, they're going to have a conversation with Donald Trump at some point in time. Right now, they're setting a forest fire all around him. And everybody that they talk to, they're putting a squeeze on them. They're putting fire at their feet. They're not waterboarding them, but they're going to feel like they've been waterboarded. And these people are going to have to fight for their lives. I mean, their credibility. They're going to have to cut a deal. And they're going to squeal like little piggies. They're going to give up the information. They're going to collaborate what the feds already know. When they decide to investigate you, it's tough to not be found guilty, because otherwise they wouldn't be interested. They wouldn't be talking to you. It's a moot point. There's no need to talk to you. So I believe that in a short period of time, we're going to start seeing more and more people indicted, pleading guilty, going to jail. And I just don't know how Donald J., as in jackass Trump, not get scarred in this whole situation. You cannot possibly. See, I'm just using common sense. I have no collaborated evidence in front of me. I'm just using common sense. Common sense says, with the people that have already been indicted and have pled guilty, for the people that they're still talking with, you can't tell me there's not a fire in the barrel. It is. You can't tell me that Donald J. Trump didn't know, didn't sanction, didn't give the nod on all of the skullduggery that's going on. It's impossible. The guy's too hands-on. If you know anything about him yet, if you've been paying attention, if you had your head out of the sand, you would understand that this guy is a narcissist and he has to have his hands on everything. There's no guesswork in that. If you don't understand it, you don't want to understand it. You don't want to accept the truth. You believe that this guy is a saint. He's not. He's a bad boy. He is not a Boy Scout. He's not a Cub Scout even. This guy plays dirty pool. Period. That's just who he is. And I think we have our guest on the phone. Is this Joe?
Yes, it is. Good morning, Lee. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Joseph Myers, our guest today. I've already kind of given a little tease about your being on the show today.
Did you really?
I teased him a little bit. I told him you were the man, not the man next to the man. And if it comes out of your mouth, it's the gospel. Did I build you up too hard? Well, I believe that you know what you're talking about. And, you know, we chatted through texting a little bit. And
well, I've been in the markets 50 years, Lee. I started in 1960. I started in 1966. I was 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Went up on Wall Street, became a fully licensed broker. I was only 25. I'm going to be 72 in August. I've seen it all.
Yeah, yes, you have. You've seen the good, bad, and the questionable. So, Joe, you've been in the stock market business, and you're a mediator, and so you're actively involved, and you stay in tune with everything that's going on as it relates to the money.
Yes, I do.
As well as the precious metals, gold and silver and platinum and all of that.
Absolutely. First
question I have for you today, and it may be on the minds of many people. What's your assessment of the Bitcoin? Is it something that people should be investing in?
Well, I think when we look towards it as certainly the future, when we talk about transactions, I think it certainly has a place in the monetary system. Having said that, I think if we look upon it as being a storage of value and a protector of wealth, I think, Lee, that's certainly something else people have to understand.
Well,
it'll never take the place of gold. It'll never take the place of silver, in my humble opinion. It never will.
What about the currency as we know it today, the dollar bill?
Well, as you know, it became a world reserve currency in 1944. We were on the gold standard approximately 27 years from 1944 to 1971. We've been off the gold standard now 47 years. So I think when you talk about the dollar and you talk about its role in the monetary system, quite honestly, I think it's in its twilight. I really do.
So is the Bitcoin a potential replacement, or will we go back to a gold-based, is that possible?
Well, I think we're going to go back on the gold standard. It's not a question of if, quite frankly. It's a question of when. And
really?
I think the bigger question is what country does it first. Either we go back on it as the United States with a currency backed by gold, or China will.
And China has a significant amount of gold stored up, I understand.
They have a lot more gold than they're reporting. They've reported about 2,800 tons. Quite honestly, Lee, I think they're holding in excess of 25,000 tons. I really do.
Now, are they holding more gold in the U.S.?
Well, the U.S. reports to have about 8,300 tons of gold, but the gold reserves in Fort Knox, as you know, have not been audited since 1953. So we really don't know how much gold is there.
Wait a minute, Joseph. You're telling me that we really don't have an accurate account of what's in Fort Knox?
Well, the last audit we had was shortly after the Korean War ended in 1953. So there's never been an auditing of the gold in Fort Knox since that time, Lee. Hard to believe, but it's true.
Now, is there anywhere else that gold is stored here in the U.S.?
Well, it's stored at the Federal Reserve Bank in New York, and it's also stored at West Point, upstate New York. Those are the other two depositories.
Okay. Now, for those who don't understand what the Federal Reserve is, can you give us the 1, 2, 3, 4 on that? I mean, explain it in simple. Explain it in simple terms for those people who think that the Federal Reserve is an agency of the federal government.
Well, it absolutely is not. It's a conglomerate of the largest banks in the U.S. that work in unison, and they provide the money we need that we pay interest on to run the government. It's as simple as that.
Period.
Yes.
And banks like, can you name off a few of them?
Well, you've got Bank America, you've got Chase Manhattan, the big boys.
Right. Wells Fargo might be in there?
Absolutely.
Citibank?
Yes.
You see, so folks, when you go to deposit your money or withdraw money, you're withdrawing or depositing or doing business with the Federal Reserve directly. These are the banks that control the interest rates. The Federal Reserve gets together and they meet. And explain that little shenanigan.
And loan requirements. You know, they
exactly.
They set the priorities and they set the rules for loans.
So,
whether it's business loans, housing loans, auto loans, they set the rates.
Right. So that, to me, that's kind of a monopoly, and it's also, kind of like a bunch of gangsters. Bunch of gangsters. They sit around in the meeting and say, okay, we're going to move it up 25 points or whatever. And everybody nods and says, okay, we'll go back to our banks and do that.
Well, we're seeing rates now move higher.
Yeah.
And as you know, we had zero interest rates for almost a decade. And we're seeing rates move up now, and quite honestly, they're moving up very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they have certainly much further to go, and that's one of the reasons why I'm very cautious and very concerned as the stock market tries to rally to even higher valuations.
Yeah.
I think the market represents, quite frankly, extraordinary risk at these levels, Lee. I truly do.
Well, let me ask you this. When we see the interest rates go up, is that an early indication of we're headed towards a recession or money's going to be tighter, or what does that mean actually?
Well, if you go back and you study history, and I'm a historian on the equity markets, as you know, having been in the markets over 50 years, rising interest rates have killed every bull market in the past. And I think it will kill this ongoing bull market. Again, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. How much higher over what period of time these rates truly go. But we've had, if you go back and you study history since the end of World War II, about 13 recessions. Average recession since World War II has been about 9 months. Two longest was 73, 4, 81, 82. They were about 16 months. I think this next recession could be a year, 18 months. I really do.
So we need to tighten up our bootstraps right now and prepare for...
Now's the time to do it, Lee. Well, the market's attempting to go to higher valuations.
Now, what does that mean when you say we need to be prepared, cautious, and prepare for maybe up to 18 months in a recession? What should the average guy do?
Well, I think you want to raise some adequate cash reserves, and I think this is the ideal time to do it. If you've got some debt you can pay down, again, this is the ideal time to do it. And if you want to stay in the stock market, I think you become very defensive. I think this market's got the potential to fall to 19,000. If we don't hold there, I think we could work our way down to 14,000, 15,000 in the Dow. That's how bad I think this coming bear market could truly be, Lee.
Now, when the stock market goes down like that, what impact does it have on gold and silver and platinum and palladium and all that?
Well, typically when we see bear markets, certainly when we speak about equities, we see money coming out of stocks and bonds and commodities and finding a home in a safe haven, which is gold and silver. Did you know, ironically, it's very interesting and very few people talk about this in the media, silver is the only commodity now selling for less than it did in 1980. Do you know that?
I've been watching it, and it's amazing that it's at an all-time low. Yeah, it's amazing. Now, those who are owners of precious metals, silver in particular, is this a time to buy? Or
absolutely, we'll never see these prices again in our lifetime. I really believe it.
Wow. Same with gold?
I think with gold, we're looking at significantly higher prices. I think you want to own both gold and silver, but I think on a percentage basis, again, quite frankly, I think silver moving forward will outperform gold.
Wow.
Well, going back to 1980, we had $8.50 gold and $50 silver. Did you know in history an ounce of gold has bought the Dow twice, 1932 and 1980? And I'm of the belief in the rule of three, and I think at some point in our lifetime as we move forward, an ounce of gold will buy the Dow once again. The question is at what price and in what time period, but I think it'll happen.
Now, if someone has $10,000 in their savings account and their bills are, pretty much paid down, they can afford to keep their bills paid and mortgage and all that, should they consider investing in gold or silver or any other types of precious metals or any other investments? Is real estate a better buy?
Everybody, regardless of what your financial situation is, if you've got some money that you can spare and put to work and you're not going to need it today or tomorrow, you should be looking at buying gold and silver. Ideally, you want to buy your coin first because it's the easiest, cheapest way to do it, and you can buy as little as one gold or silver coin, depending on how much cash you have at the time to put out.
Right.
But there's nothing wrong with starting small. The key is to start solid, buy rock-solid quality merchandise. That's what's important, Lee.
Now, in terms of, you mentioned coins, but there's different types of coins. You've got the silver eagle, the gold eagle, and you have other solid type coins, but then you see advertisements on TV.
Commemorative?
Yeah. Are those safe? Are they a good investment, those things you see on TV?
They carry too much premium over the spot price of gold. You want to buy a bullion gold or silver coin because you're getting 1 ounce of pure silver, 1 ounce of pure gold.
Right. You're
not paying that big premium to get a commemorative coin.
Yes.
But when you talk about silver, you got the silver American Eagle, silver Canadian Maple Leafs, Morgan silver dollars, Australian silver Philharmonics, Mexican silver Libertas. These are all high quality, very easily recognizable coins that you should be buying and put away.
Right. So if I've got a 1 ounce silver Philharmonic, let's say,
Okay.
or the Eagle, and times get a little tough, can I take that to a grocery store and buy some food?
Well, the silver American Eagles are certainly the most popular silver coin that we have here in the U.S., along with the gold American Eagles, which are very easily recognizable. But, we can't exchange coins as a form of currency to buy food or buy... We're not there yet, Lee.
You can't go to McDonald's and order up 50 hamburgers on a
But I'm going to tell you something
Eagle.
that I've read, and I included it in one of the recent issues of the newsletter. I think you'll find this interesting. Did you know at the height of what's been going on in Venezuela, a 1 ounce silver coin would buy $250 worth of groceries as the currency disintegrated?
Wow.
You know that?
Wow.
A 1 ounce
amazing.
a silver coin, which is worth about $20, bought $250 worth of groceries.
Wow. That's amazing. I wish I had Venezuela's gas prices, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get that for almost nothing. I think, what,
9 cents a gallon.
9 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Recently here in California, Joseph, the governor imposed a 12 cents tax on the gas. I mean, not that it wasn't already taxed, but another 12 cents.
How much is a gallon of gas, Lee?
Well, a cheap gas station is about a $3.30. If you go to a Mobile or one of the class, you're looking at $3.89 to $4.
Okay.
And that's regular, unleaded. The premium gas is already over $4.
Oh my God.
Not that high. Well, now you were in Jersey or New York?
Well, I'm in Florida now,
you're in
but
Florida.
I was born and
That's
raised
right.
in New
What am I
York.
thinking? Yes. Yeah, it's a little cheaper there, I bet, huh?
I bought gas the other day. I paid $3.28.
Yeah, well, I bought gas for about $3.31 last week. Now, I'm not sure what it is this week. But it's been bouncing around the $3.30, $3.40 range at the cheap gas stations. It's probably 50% water, but it works. I've got to put a little funny in there. Now,
I want to share something with you.
Go ahead.
I call it a trip down memory lane regarding 1980 prices, since we were talking about gold and silver going back to 1980.
Okay.
Do you know what the average family income was in 1980?
Wow.
The median family income of the average American? Take a guess.
1980. Let's see.
Yeah.
Where was I in 80? I was in Chicago. And if I remember correctly, in that year I was making around maybe $60,000 plus bonuses. Now, that's probably a lot more than the average person.
The median family income of the average American in 1980 was $18,000 a year nationally.
Wow.
The average national price of a new home was just $76,000.
Wow.
And the cost of an average new car was about $6,000. Can you believe it?
That's crazy. I remember the first house I bought in the Chicago area, I think I paid $89,000. It was a 3,000 square foot
What
home.
year was that, Lee?
Now, 81-ish.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What was your mortgage payment?
I don't remember. It was under $1,000. I remember that much.
That was a lot of money in
Yeah, it was.
1980.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what I could handle it. That and a couple of cars, and
Wow.
we had one kid at that time, so I wasn't sure that I could handle it. But we made it. I remember back in my uncle bought a new house, brand new construction. It was $19,900, I want to say, and I'm guessing that was like late '60s in Virginia.
Yeah.
He was a postal worker, and my aunt, his wife, was a school teacher. And I think his house payment was like $119 or $130 a month. And he was
Not
saying,
even a light bill.
Right. Exactly. My damn phone bill is
The
more than
phone
that.
bill.
My cell
The
phone.
cell phone bill.
Exactly. It's amazing how things have really changed, you know.
It's a different country, Lee. This is
Yeah.
a much different time. People don't understand, even at this point, with as much as has gone on, what is really happening.
Yeah. Now, what is the average income today here in America?
Probably a little over 36,000 a year, something like that.
So since 1980,
Double.
it's doubled. But the expenses that we're looking at is
Quadrupled.
quadrupled. Exactly. So the income is not keeping up with inflation.
Well, if you go back and you look at wages, they haven't kept up since 1965.
Wow.
If you adjust wages for inflation since 1965, they're flat. That's why everybody's so behind the eight ball, Lee.
Yeah, yeah. I remember my first job in radio was in 1965. I got $1.60 an hour.
Wow.
$1.60 an hour. I
Well,
think that must have been the minimum wage.
Was $1.25, wasn't it?
Right. I was rolling.
Yeah. How many
Exactly.
hours a week were you working? You remember?
Let's see, 4 to 6 hours. I was part-time at that point.
That's a lot of time on the air, though.
Well, I didn't care. They could have paid me nothing, and I would have been on the air. It was because I loved it, you know.
When you talk
I was a
about
kid.
currency collapses, I will share something else very few people know.
Mm-hmm.
At the height of the Weimar Republic in Germany in the 1920s,
Mm-hmm.
and their currency was literally, after World War I, printed into oblivion. By 1923, the currency was so in poor condition and it had very little value that a 1-ounce gold coin bought a whole city block in Frankfurt, Germany. Can you believe it?
Wow.
A 1-ounce gold coin bought a whole city block in Frankfurt, Germany.
Wow. If I could just, if we could have access to that for 1 month, I'd be king. That's amazing.
Well, you got to go back and study history. You know, it's often said if we live long enough, history repeats in our lifetime. Well, the 20s is a little before my lifetime and yours as well. But
exactly.
The point is, it can repeat, and I think at some point it will.
Whoa. We're talking back into the Depression era.
Well, you go back, you look at the Depression. The Dow topped out in November 1929, 381 in the Dow. It didn't bottom till July 1932 at 41 in the Dow. It lost over 90% of its value.
Mm.
But what is interesting, and again, people don't understand or have any knowledge or certainly information on, after the crash in 1929 at 381 in the Dow, you know how long it took to get back above 381 in the Dow?
How long was it?
25 years, 1954
Damn.
it took.
Wow.
And the point being, if we're making a top here, I think comparable and similar to what we've seen in the 20s, we could be looking at a decade or two if we ever get back to these price levels in the Dow. That's the risk people are taking at these levels in the market.
Now, with all the technology and all the stuff that's we've never seen before, you know, artificial intelligence, there's a lot of money being invested into these areas.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, when President Trump comes out and attacks Amazon and some of the other companies, I mean, is he that powerful in having that kind of impact on the market in the terms of what he's been saying? Or is it something else that's happening?
He's the most powerful leader in the free world. There's no two ways about it. He has tremendous clout, politically, economically, socially. Yes, he does.
Is it
Doesn't
responsible?
mean we agree with everything he's doing, but
right. Is it responsible for the President of the United States and come out and make those kind of statements that could negatively impact on our
economy? We never had anyone do it before, certainly in my lifetime.
Right, right. He seems to be a loose cannon in that regard. I mean, if you got a problem with a company, maybe you should call him to the White House and have a little sit down. And he claims to be a great negotiator. You know, figure it out. Make things work better. But, you know, gloating and bloating on the Twitters. I don't know. I think it's a dangerous thing that he's doing.
Well, again, if you go back and you look at history, the Dow got above 1,000 for the first time, as I'm sure you remember, 1966. We didn't get back above 1,000 or stay above 1,000 until 1983, 17 years later.
Wow.
So the point being, you're looking at a decade, possibly two, of when you see these kind of extraordinary levels in the market until they finally get above them and stay above them for a period of time, Lee. It's what you don't know that can hurt you in the market
Right.
and in the economy, not necessarily what you do believe you do know.
Now, how long have we been in this bull market?
We started in 2009, Dow 6470 and 670 in the S&P.
And the longest bull market in our lifetime has been for how long?
Well, there's two of the longest bull markets were the 1990s tech bull market,
Okay.
which lasted from 1990 to 2001.
Okay, 11 years.
And then you look at the 1920 bull market that started in 1921 and lasted to 1929.
Okay.
And then you look at this market here, which is number 3.
And it's been since when? 2009?
Since March 2009.
Okay. And you think it's peaked and it's on its way out?
Well, I think it's showing signs of a top.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you look at valuations, you've got book value, dividend yield, price-earnings ratio, all at extremes. You got the U.S. dollar falling, bond yields are rising, trade tariffs now being imposed almost on a daily basis. I think the signs are telling you that caution is warranted and you should be protecting your hard-earned capital. I really do. Never lose sight of the fact you can always come back in the market if you have the money, Lee.
Yes. Now, what about real estate? If you've got, disposable income, and I hate using that word, but if you got some money that you can invest, and you had the choice between precious metals, stock market, real estate, what would be your advice on that?
I wouldn't touch real estate right now because I think rising interest rates are going to be the death knell of property prices. Again, it's going to be how quickly these rates go up and how far.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the precious metals represent a very low-risk entry point at these levels. I think they represent tremendous value. I think the stock market is very overvalued, very misunderstood. And quite honestly, I think you got people taking risk in the stock market they don't even understand.
Mm. So you mentioned earlier that you think that we might have to go back to the gold standard.
At some point,
okay.
Yes.
Now, that being said, if we go back to that, I mean, what's the advantage to the Federal Reserve in doing that? Because I got to look at it from that perspective first, because they're going to be the decision maker in terms of who, if and when we do that, correct?
Well, there's going to really initially be no advantage, certainly, to what the Fed has been doing, printing money without any backing, to support it.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back and, again, you look at history, when President Kennedy left us in 1963, we had a national debt, $288 billion.
Mm-hmm.
When Ronald Reagan became president in 1980, by 1981, we had the first $1 trillion in national debt. If you look at the national debt, it has doubled about every 6 years since that period of time. We're now looking at a national debt over $20 trillion, Lee.
Mm-hmm.
As these interest rates go up, we're paying interest on the national debt, which is going to exceed $1 trillion a year just in interest. There isn't any way we can continue to run the printing presses and print money and put it into the economy. We've got to get back to honest money. We've got to get back to a dollar that's supported with something of value. China's sitting on $3 trillion of U.S. assets. They're selling bonds now on a regular basis very quietly.
Mm-hmm.
They're not buying any more governmental securities. When you look at recently what's been going on, we've had the Treasury bond, now a Treasury 10-year bond at the highest level it's been in 10 years. We've had the 2-year Treasury bond at the highest level it's been in 10 years. So when you look at where these rates have certainly started from and where they are now, if they continue to go up, we got a big problem here, Lee.
Yeah.
Globally as well, because all the central banks of the world have been pumping money into the economies in concert. They can no longer do it.
Wow. Doesn't sound like peaches and cream in front of us here. We need to...
Well, you got Iran selling oil for gold, Russia selling oil for gold, the Saudis selling oil now aside of being in the petrodollar. China now buying oil and paying with yuan convertible into gold. So we're seeing now, I think, again, the ending of the dollar as a world reserve currency. Doesn't mean it ends today, tomorrow, but I think the ending of it's on the horizon. And we're seeing an alternative now, which has gone on for many years, since the mid-1970s, with the U.S. dollar being the sole currency used to buy oil from Saudi Arabia. That's what's going on.
And people are saying, wait a minute, I need to have something more sound than just this printing press over there in the United States of America. Now, the Federal Reserve and the World Bank, how is that, what's that collaboration like? I mean, explain that.
Well, they provide the capital that's needed to run the governments throughout the world, quite frankly. That's what they do. The World Bank lends money to nations to develop and certainly improve their economies. That's their role. But when you look at the ECB, which is the European Central Bank, it plays a role very similarly to what we have here with the U.S. Fed.
Is there some pushback or fighting between the Federal Reserve and the World Bank, or is it all really the same?
Well, the World Bank has now tightened its lending restrictions to a lot of countries that had lent money to in the past. As you know, we've got massive problems in the European Union. Germany's really the only economy and the only currency which is rock solid. I think when you look at the problems with Spain, Portugal, Ireland, Greece, you know, these are problems certainly with liquidity, certainly problems in their banking system, and the question is, you know, who will step in and bail them out? Germany, quite frankly, has indicated they're not willing to put any more money into these sick banks. So that's another problem that eventually is going to come across the ocean and wash up on our shores as well.
What has Germany been doing right for them to be so solid in terms of, you know, their economy?
Well, they always had a very strong economy. They never leveraged their economy. They never ran up tremendous debt like a lot of the other European nations. And the Germans, as I'm sure you know, have a work ethic that's unmatched, certainly throughout Europe. So they're the only rock-solid economy, quite frankly, that's been holding the European Union together, and more importantly, the euro itself.
And we keep buying those German-made cars like it's ice cream. So, now, in terms of all of the countries around the world, as you know it and understand it, Germany is solid.
Yes, it is.
What about China? Are they solid? And don't we still owe a lot of money to them in loans? Or have they sold off?
Well, China's holding our debt, but
Right.
you know, China's now the largest gold producer in the world. Very few people know that, having surpassed South Africa. But what's interesting with China is they export very little of the gold in which they mine every year through their properties they have throughout China. So China continues to build their gold reserves at a massive rate. I think the surprise is going to be when China really at some point has to admit how much gold they're truly holding.
Well, do they even have to? Do they have to be
Well,
honest?
you know, the last time they admitted to their gold reserves was over a decade ago. You know, somebody asked me recently about silver, and they said, do you think it represents the same value that it did in 1980? And I said to them, if you look at silver at $15, $16, and you look at its potential, which I think is extraordinary, I think you've got to view silver as the equivalent of buying a 1980 Mercedes-Benz at 1980 prices.
Wow. That does not mean go out and buy a Mercedes Benz.
No, it doesn't. But I'm saying that
Yeah.
the storage of value is very comparable.
Okay. Now I'm getting ready to look up the price, and you may already know what the price of silver and gold is right now.
Gold is $13.28, and silver, I think, is $16.50.
Wow.
And oil is about $63 a barrel.
Just 5 years ago, silver was right around $50. And
2011.
2011, right.
$49.45.
That's right.
Did you know, going back in the late 1960s, and I was invested in the market as a very young person, that a barrel of oil and an ounce of silver sold at parity? Did you know that?
It sold at what?
At parity, the same price.
Really?
Do you know what the price was?
What was it?
$1.50.
Get out.
Yes, it was.
You could
Look
buy
it up.
either or for $1.50.
That's exactly right.
Wow.
What do you think? Gas was 35 cents a gallon.
Yeah, right. I think I remember buying a gallon of gas. My dad told me to go buy some gas for the lawnmower. And we just got into Power More, and I think I went to the Flying A gas station in Virginia, Norfolk.
25 cents?
I think it was 19 cents.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was like 60-something. Early 60s.
Well, you know, another asset class, and I want to mention it before I forget it, that I think is very undervalued relative to what's going on in all the global markets is natural gas, Lee. I think it's certainly the future. I think it's certainly an asset class you can buy and put away. I think you're going to make a lot of money.
Wow. You know, when I went to buy that gallon of gas, and it's kind of a funny part of the story, my dad gave me a quarter. And he says, boy, bring me my change back. I said, Dad, can I buy some bubble gum? Bring me my change back. So.
Do you remember when a candy bar was a nickel?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
5 cents.
Yeah. I
a
remember
quart of
buying.
milk was a quarter.
Oh, my God. I remember buying.
A Coke in a machine was a dime.
A dime, right? That's right. I remember candy. We had this little corner store in our neighborhood. And I would go there, and for 2 cents, 2 for a penny, two
Bubble
pieces
gum.
of bubble gum, or there was a little hard candy that I used to like, was called Whiskey Drops. It was a red candy with sugar on it. And it wasn't in a wrapper or anything. The guy would just reach in and grab 2 of them and give them to you. 2 for a penny. Whiskey
Drops. When we
Drops.
were kids, we used to get a haircut 75 cents.
Oh,
I got
that's
my
right.
haircut the other day. It was $20.
That's right. It's more here.
I can imagine.
I paid $30 for a haircut. And I keep saying,
$30.
yeah, 25, and I give a guy another $5 tip.
If them old timers could come back and look at these prices, they'd drop dead all over again.
Oh, I'm telling you.
They'd never pay it.
No way. What
No,
are you
they
talking
wouldn't.
about? $25
Exactly
for a haircut? What are you
You're
for?
crazy.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, the income has not gone up proportionately.
No, it hasn't.
It really hasn't, and that's part of the problem. And I don't know that we'll ever see that balance or that increase. You know.
Well, the only way you could level the playing field, and again, this is one man's opinion, but in my humble opinion, you'd have to cut prices in half and double the wage.
Now, do you think that some of the things that our current administration is doing, that, you know, he's been talking about bringing jobs back from overseas and what have you?
I don't think it's going to happen as quickly as people want to believe, Lee. I could be wrong, but I don't see it.
And really, how is that going to impact on you and I, the everyday guy? If you bring those jobs back.
Well, prices are not going to go down. They're going to go up.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I mean, I was in a grocery store the other day. I mean, it's a pretty sad time when you shop week to week in a grocery store and you see the prices going up week to week to week. I mean, when does this end?
It's crazy.
Everything going higher.
It is. Totally. You know, and it's not like we've been getting great goods and services from foreign countries. Many times that some of the food that we get is substandard. It's all, you know, full of all kind of poisons and stuff. But that goes the same thing here in the United States too. We really need to get a handle on what's going into the growing process of the food that we eat.
all these pesticides.
Yes, absolutely. And you wonder why people are coming, down with cancers and stuff. Well, it's very clear. It's easy to figure that one out. It's
Well,
the
when you
stuff
look
they're
at the
putting in it.
water we're drinking and you look at the air we breathe and you're looking at these chemicals that are being put in the food, it's no wonder.
No, it's easy to figure it out. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand that.
Well, the other sad thing, life expectancy is not really going up proportionally, and it should be.
Yeah, with all the technology and medical advancements, you would think that, we'd be living to be 150 by now.
Well, we've got the medical technology to keep you alive, but what good is keeping you alive if you're on the way out?
Exactly.
It's no quality of life.
No, it isn't. It really isn't. And it's just crazy. They give you a pill for a headache, and then, it causes you to have a erectile dysfunction. So I'm not sure if that's a good trade-off or not, Give me the headache.
Did you know recently I did a little research where the majority of artificial Christmas trees are made?
No.
China, 85% of them.
Well, that's not surprising. That makes sense.
Cotton produces twice as much cotton as the United States does and 3 times as much coal.
Wow.
China is now the largest car market in the world. I guess you knew that one.
Yeah, I had heard that. Well, they got, 2 or 3 billion people over there. So
China now uses more cement annually than the rest of the world combined.
Wow. And what's their steel production?
Massive.
Yeah. Is it smart for us to have a trade war with China right now?
Well, I think the timing of it could certainly be better, but when you take a look at all these goods that have been flooding into this market, and you take a look at the businesses that have certainly closed and the decent-paying jobs that have left the shores of America never to return, in the 1950s, we had 25% of the work population, as I'm sure you remember, working in manufacturing.
Yep.
We now have less than 7%.
Wow.
So the good-paying jobs have left the shores of America 30, 35 years ago. And what did we create? These low-paying minimum wage jobs without any benefits that people can't put food on the table.
I mean, okay, so the president is offering all kind of tax benefits to these various companies to bring those jobs back, but can he give them enough tax breaks to offset bringing those jobs back in when they're getting stuff made for 15 cents or a quarter or $1 an hour? When they bring them back here, nobody's going to work for that.
Are they going to use the tax breaks and incentives to build plants and equip them? Or are they going to use the tax breaks to buy back more of their own stock and increase the dividend to their shareholders? Where is the money going to go and how is it going to be used? That's the question I'd like answered. Absolutely.
Who do they have an obligation to? Their stockholders or the people who are buying the goods and services?
Well, I think you got an obligation to the person who buys the product. If you want to manufacture something and turn a tremendous profit in manufacturing it overseas, as I've often said many times, sell it there.
Right, exactly. Okay, are you familiar with iHeartMedia?
I've heard of them.
Okay. They just filed bankruptcy, and they're trying to flush $10 billion in debt. That, I think, is going to be devastating, certainly to the lenders, the people who invested the money into this company. They bought these radio stations. They own 850 stations now. At one time, it was 1,250. So
that's a lot of stations.
Yeah, it is. And they own the biggest, best stations in America. So they've got a monopoly. They own all the, not all, but a majority of the billboards. They used to be called Clear Channel.
What went wrong, Lee?
Well, they overpaid for the radio stations, first of all. When they jumped into the business of buying radio, and one of the major investors or partners in this, and you'll know this when I say it, Bain Capital.
Heard of him.
Okay, I'm sure you've heard of him.
That's Mitt Romney.
Yeah, that's right. He was one of the co-founders of that group, of that company.
He was.
Now, his MO has always been go in, buy the company, pull all the money out of it, bankrupt or walk away from it, and that's what they're doing with this company.
It's a shame.
It is. It should be illegal. to do these kind of things, because what they've done is basically destroyed the broadcast business as it once was. And there are more people sitting on the sideline, unemployed, that were great broadcasters.
I bet.
Now can't get a job to save their lives.
Well, do you know, if you go study history, at one point in the history of the media, radio was bigger than TV.
That's
really
right.
Was.
Yeah,
it was.
And it should be today, because there's more of them. More stations. There's over, I think, want to say over 12,000 radio stations in America.
You know, this is such a different time in this country. I know we'd all like to go back to the way things once were, but I know, honestly, we'll never be able to do it.
Yeah, I think it's history.
But when you see the business practices that are being employed now in the market, it makes you very sad and very angry.
Yep, absolutely.
Shouldn't be permitted.
No, I agree. And at some point in time, I mean, listen, you can say what you want to say about regulations and deregulating the industries and what have you, but the regulations were put in place to protect...
For a reason.
That's right, to protect the people from getting
screwed.
From
this abuse.
That's right. And we don't have those watchdogs now, even with the Federal Communications Commission.
We need it more than ever.
Big time. Once upon a time, if you were a station owner, you were obligated. You were licensed to serve that community. So if you were licensed to New York City, you were licensed to serve that community, and you had to do a certain number of public service announcements, community affairs programming, a certain number of hours.
It wasn't easy to even get the license.
Yeah, that's right. And news. You had to do a certain number of hours per week in news, or you get your hand slapped or you lose your license. Now, since the Reagan administration is when all the deregulation started on the industry, now you don't have to do any of that if you don't want to. So what the Federal Communications Commission said was, okay, well, listen, you guys are big boys. You invested a lot of money in these radio stations. We're not going to sit here and monitor you the way we used to, because we're going to cut back. We're not going to have a room full of people monitoring radio stations all over America anymore. We're going to say, you police yourselves, okay? Now, you guys are going to do the right thing, right? Wink, wink. You're gonna be good broadcasters, right? And it's absolutely, absolutely. And we're gonna serve the community in the greatest way. No, they did not. They went in and took all of that stuff off the air, increased the number of commercials per hour, and started making crazy money. And the reason they got into the business, and you'll understand this better than anybody, Joe, is because the industry was spinning off anywhere from 40 to 60% margins of profit. They jumped into it like they'd never seen those kind of margins before.
No.
So they started paying $200, $300, $400 million for one FM station.
Wow.
They're overpaid. They got into a bidding war with each other, the different companies. And consequently, they couldn't pay the debt. And that's what happened to iHeartMedia. Yeah. So you got a bunch of investment people who saw the bottom line and went crazy and created their own problem.
Oh, boy.
They fired a bunch of people. Okay, for example, I'll give you an example just to show you how crazy it is. Once upon a time, any given radio station employed about 35 people, okay, per station.
Decent paying jobs.
Decent paying jobs with a career and some growth. Now, with the way they have this stuff structured now, one company can own up to 8 radio stations in any given market.
Wow.
Now, there's one general manager over 8 stations. It used to be one per station. It used to be around 12 to 18 salespeople. Now you have 25, maybe 30 to sell for all 8 stations. There used to be a program director, a music director, an operations manager, a station manager, national sales manager, local sales manager. All of those jobs have been eliminated, and one person is handling all 8 stations. How can you possibly do that and expect great results?
You can't.
No, because too many things fall through the cracks. I'm surprised general managers are not jumping out of windows in 80-story buildings right now, losing their minds, because it's impossible to run an operation like that. Impossible. With all the automation.
I've often said, Lee, if you want to help people, you tell them the truth. If you want to help yourself, you tell them what you want to hear.
That's right. Exactly.
We've never done that, and we never will. I know people a lot of times don't like what I have to say, but it's the truth as I know it, and certainly based on my experience and research,
You're the man.
the facts that I believe and present.
Yeah, and you've been successful at it.
Well,
So you can't argue with a guy that's sitting there, saying, hey, well, this is what I did to succeed, the success that I've had, and the clients that I've represented all were successful. And boom, boom, boom. I mean, it makes all the sense in the world.
well, I've been an arbitrator mediator with the New York Stock Exchange in FINRA now 23 years.
There you go.
So we've seen the abuses on Wall Street. Having said that, we got an awful lot of good people. I think they have to be certainly recognized as well.
Yes, absolutely.
But we've had investors, I think, taking risk in these markets that doesn't make any sense. You got people gambling in their 401k and their IRA account, thinking these markets are going to grow to the sky. There's $23 trillion in retirement accounts, about $16 trillion in 401ks, and about $7.5 trillion in IRAs that people are going to be counting on someday to support them in a very comfortable retirement.
Mm-hmm.
When these markets go down, they go down a lot. They go down 30, 40, 50%.
Yes.
Secret to making money in the markets, and I've said it repeatedly, is not only being part of the bull markets, but avoiding the bear markets as well.
Now, you can make money when the market is sliding as well, correct?
Yes, you can.
Mm-hmm. Now, what kind of impact, or will it have any impact at all? I read something this morning. I didn't read the whole article, but I saw a headline that the New York Stock Exchange is buying the Chicago Exchange.
Yes.
What does that mean? Will that change anything?
Well, we're seeing a consolidation of the exchanges. I think people realize that this economic recovery has run its course. This market has gone up now for 9 years. Typically, a bull market, as I'm sure you know, Lee, lasts 3-4 years.
Mm-hmm.
A bear market lasts typically 1/3 to 1/2 as long as the previous bull market.
Mm.
So when you look at this bull market here, which is now 9 years old, and you talk about the potential for a bear market, this market can go down a lot more in a short period of time than I think anybody realizes. This is another reason why I think you take money off the table, you raise some cash, you get to the sidelines.
Mm.
No one's going to tell you that, but I'll tell you that.
So when the stock market goes down, that impacts on everything: interest rates, the balloon payments on your mortgages and all that stuff becomes very difficult to do, especially if you invested in some bad stocks and you have nothing to fall back on.
Well, this is why you protect your capital, you raise some cash reserves, you can sleep at night.
Mm-hmm.
And when the market once again represents extraordinary value and the quality is on sale, you step in and you buy it up.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to have the capital to do it.
Yeah. Well, that's usually the problem for most people. They're thin on the capital.
Well, when you talk about housing, as you know, when we were kids and we were raised, the house used to go up annually by the price of inflation 3, 4, 5% a year.
Exactly.
When we started seeing homes go up 20% a year compounded for 5 years, that's when housing got in trouble.
That's right.
A house, as I've said many times, is just a place to live, and it's a place in which to raise your family. It's not supposed to make you rich.
No, but that's what people have been banking on.
People went in these things with very little money down. They bought much too much house. The rates started to go up. They adjusted the mortgage, and they defaulted.
Yep, that's true.
Now, a lot of these homes have never come on the market yet. I think the lenders are sitting back and holding these and waiting for the opportune time in which to bring them to the market. Having been a contractor for Resolution Trust and certainly been involved in what we saw in the last debacle in commercial and residential real estate in the late 1980s, when these homes went to the auction block, they brought very little money. People didn't even want to buy them. They were on fire sale prices, Lee.
Yeah.
Could that happen again? I think it could, yes.
Sure. Now, when I lived in South Florida, down in Fort Lauderdale and Hollywood, that was during the time right after the market crashed and the prices of homes were going down 50% and what have you. Now, there have been a lot of foreign investors, the Russians, Chinese and other countries coming in, buying up those properties. A lot of the waterfront, the oceanfront properties there in Fort Lauderdale and Miami now are owned by Russians and people from Israel and China and places like that. And I understand that much of the land and buildings in Vegas is now owned by Chinese.
Yes, it is.
Now, with foreign investors coming in, that kind of inflates the pricing as well because they're eager to buy because it's I guess it's all relative to what they see in their own country. But
true,
when they come here and they see what looks like a good deal, and they have the money to do it, and that drives the prices up.
Well, China owns the Waldorf Astoria. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Yeah.
Damn.
The Waldorf Astoria, which was a landmark all through American history, is now owned by the Chinese.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's where the presidents usually go hang out.
Yes, they do.
That's amazing.
Again, it's what you don't know.
That's so true. You don't know what you don't know, and sometimes what you don't know is going to be more harmful to you than not.
This is why we write the newsletter, Andre Eglishan and I. We tell you what you need to know, why you need to know it, and lastly, and very importantly, what you can and should be doing about it.
Now, how can people get in touch with you, Joe?
Go to the straightmoneyanalysis.com website. We got a full website. We even have a full sample issue of the newsletter people can download and read.
Straight Money Analysis.
straightmoneyanalysis.com.
Okay, great.
We have a YouTube channel where you can see some of the shows I've done on network TV.
Yeah, he's been all over, folks. Have you
1
been
year
on
subscription, $259.95. 6 months subscription, $149.95. And I think what we'll do, out of respect to you, Lee, and what you've stood for and what you continue to do, anybody signs up for the newsletter coming from your show, we'll give them the 1 year at the 6 month subscription price, save them $110.
There you go. Make sure you
And I'll
you tell
also
them.
include 2 back issues of the newsletter. You'll get the December 2017 and the March 2018.
Oh, that's very nice of you, Joe. I appreciate that.
Glad to do it. Want to educate people and give them the heads up as to what they really need to know.
There you go. You heard it first right here. Joseph Meyer, I mean, this guy's solid as a rock. He studies this stuff. He's a historian on it. He's been in it for over 50 years. He's been doing the money stuff as long as I've been doing the radio stuff, okay? So
not many of us left.
I started in 65, so I'm 52 years in it now. So, yeah, what is it, 52? Going on 53 years. Wow.
Hard to believe.
Wow. That's crazy.
Brand new car, $3,500. We didn't have the money.
Exactly. So when I grow up and save up, I'm gonna buy that car. It's $3,500. You can't get a used car for that now.
Our tongue was hanging out.
Yeah, exactly.
I went home. I told my father I found the car. I think I'm gonna buy it. He said, "Yeah, how you gonna pay it?"
With your dreams, right? Wow. Yeah, we've come a long way, Joe. And Joe, let me just say, anytime you want to come on, man, just call. You don't need an invitation. Just call in. You got the direct line in here. If you got something you want to share with the listeners, just call and talk about it. Plain and simple.
Let your listeners know we're here to help in any way we can. You know, my number is on the website where people can call, speak to me directly.
Great.
We've always taken the time to speak to someone and help them and answer their questions and guide them to the best of our ability, and we'll continue to do that. And we thank you, Lee, for the opportunity to visit with your listening audience. And certainly as news breaks that I think you and your listening audience should be aware of, rest assured I'll put in a call to you.
Please do. Please do. We appreciate it. All right, that's Joseph Meyer from straightmoneyanalysis.com. Go check out the website. And subscribe to his newsletter. It's the real deal. And his partner in developing this newsletter is also an expert. He's written a couple of books on the Federal Reserve and all that. So these guys are credible.
He's the co-editor of the newsletter.
That's right. Andre Eglishan, my friend and your friend. He's a great guy as well.
Yes, he is.
Absolutely. So blessings to you, Joe. Stay safe. And the next time I'm in Florida, I will definitely look you up.
do it. Let's look forward to it.
Okay, partner. Thank you again for calling into the show. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Lee. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Bye-bye. That's Joseph Meyer, straightmoneyanalysis.com. Go check out the website. And if you want to invest in the newsletter, I encourage you to do that. It is first class. It comes out, I think, monthly. And it's the real deal. They tell you the stuff that you need to know. It's not one of these newsletters that's a bunch of hype in there, and then they want you to buy this and send a bunch of links to other places. No, it's real information that you can use. It's the real deal. Trust me when I tell you. That's the kind of stuff. I want to bring more concrete information into the show from experts that know what they're talking about. I've got some doctors that I want to bring in and have them talk about medical situations, because everyone, sooner or later, is going to run into some kind of medical issue. And you need to have some good, credible information from people that are going to give it to you straight. One of the things that many people are concerned about or a little nervous about going to doctors and dentists and any kind of doctor, because you're afraid that they're going to tell you something that's going to scare the hell out of you, number one, or they're going to put you on some medication that you don't want to be on. And sometimes these medications have side effects that are worse than the problem that you're going in to get resolved. But we're going to bring in some doctors, some holistic doctors, and some regular medical doctors that will give you the straight, skinny, and be honest with you. And otherwise, I don't want them on this show. If they're not going to tell you the truth, then they have no place in this show at all. Go somewhere else. I don't want any information out that goes out through these microphones over this broadcast that's not going to be beneficial to you in a positive way. Okay? No lies, no smoke, no bovine. If you're looking for that, go to Fox News, some place like that. You're not going to get that here. And did you guys hear this story? And let me see if I can find it and play it. But there were 3 ladies on Fox News, and they were talking about the young man who was accepted to 20 different Ivy League colleges. Now, let's walk through that process. There's an application. You generally have to write an essay of some type, and you have to pay money. So if he was capable of doing all of that, and his grades have to be impeccable, what's the problem with him being accepted? Not just applying to, but accepted by 20 top colleges in America. The only problem he has is he has to choose one of the 20. These ladies, and I don't know who they are because I don't watch Fox, but I saw it online. They were criticizing this young man. He happens to be African American. So he can't be no stupid guy. He's smart. He's a straight A student. Accepted by 20 different schools. Now, that's exceptional. That's to be commended. But there's a young lady that applied at 149 different schools and was accepted at all of them. The difference was many of the schools that she applied to were not Ivy League, but the collective value of what was offered to her was over $7 million in scholarships. Of course, she didn't get all of that because she had to pick one school, so whatever school that was. But that's nothing to. They said negative things about this boy's accomplishment. Negative things. What's negative about that? Nothing. They should have said, congratulations, that's outstanding that you were accepted by 20 Ivy League schools. Congratulations, young man. No. They tried to find problems with it. One was so stupid, when I say stupid, went as far as saying, well, he just took 19 other kids from having an opportunity. No. That's not how it works. If by chance someone did not get a scholarship, they have a waiting list. because they understand that everybody's not going to accept the scholarship. So nobody lost an opportunity, because then that slot goes back open. Somebody on that waiting list will get a scholarship. But you see how ignorant people are sometimes. To make a statement like that is just bizarre. I'm going to see if I can find this video here while I'm talking to you, because I want you to hear from their mouths how stupid they are. And they were laughing and cackling and just like making fun of the situation. And when I saw some of the comments that people were making that had saw this video, most of the people, even white people, said the only reason they were doing that is because he was an African-American young man. And that's sad. Here we are in 2018, and we have to deal with stuff like this still. 50 years ago yesterday, Martin Luther King was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee at the Lorraine Hotel, which is now a museum. It's great that they preserved that spot and it's a museum, but it's a damn shame that this man lost his life there doing good. He was there picketing, marching on behalf of the garbage workers in Memphis. How are you going to be mad at somebody for doing that? Looking after hardworking poor people, slinging your garbage, and your garbage has no race associated with it. It's garbage. Black folks garbage, white folks garbage. Garbage is garbage. And they were not being paid fairly. And that's what Martin Luther King was doing when he was shot on the balcony at the Lorraine Hotel in Memphis, Tennessee. 50 years ago yesterday. 50 years ago. And you know what? What's really sad, folks? What's really sad? Many of the things that he was marching and crying about, trying to bring about change, some of those things we still are dealing with today. That's sad. 50 years later, yeah, I admit things have gotten better. A lot better. Because I remember the signs of no colored people. You can't drink at this water fountain. You can't go to this Woolworths and buy a cherry Coke and a hot dog and sit there at the counter and eat it. I remember those days. I lived through that as a child in the 50s and 60s. I remember this. I'm not making this up. This is not something I read in the book. I lived through it. And people still look at me crazy. It's gotten a lot better. I admit that. It's gotten a lot better. But we still have a long way to go in terms of equality. And Joe was here talking about the imbalance of the income to the cost of living. That affects everyone. It's not color associated with that. But it just shows you how bad things still are for all of us. So things have to get better. But the only way it's going to get better is we have to change the decision makers that makes the laws, that impacts the regulations, to tell big pharma and major corporations, don't fill us up with poison. Don't pollute our air, our waterways, the earth. That's all we got, folks. And if you sit around and say, oh, well, it ain't no big deal, I don't want you to make any decisions because you don't see the world as it really is and how important it is to have clean air, clean water, and non-polluted earth that we grow our food in. That shouldn't be an argument by anyone. We have to have clean water. We have to have clean air. And our grounds can't be polluted. And we shouldn't be putting pollutions in the ground to grow food faster, as you claim, better. But when you put poison on it to make it grow better, faster, bigger, producing more crops, just like the medicines we take, the side effects from what you're doing is not good. It's causing cancer and other diseases and problems with our internal organs. Why is that so hard to accept, that some things we should not do, period? Oh, damn, foolish me. What am I thinking? It's called greed. They're money hungry. They don't give a damn about your life or my life or anybody else's, even their own. As long as they die with trillions of dollars, that's all that matters. But see what they don't understand? It has an impact on them as well. Because you look at some of the richest people in the world have come down with cancer, lung diseases, and all of that too. So you're hurting yourself, buddy. You're eating your own poison. You're not even smart enough to say, I ain't eating none of that. I'm going to grow my own stuff over here in the good land. Non-polluted. Beyond organic. Okay? I try to eat as much organic grown food as possible. But is that real? How organic is it really? We don't know because you didn't grow it. I didn't grow it. I can't say, let's go out in the backyard and pull up some collard greens, some kale, and some carrots and tomatoes. And I know what I put on it. And I know what's in that ground. I know what I didn't put in it. The stuff from Monsanto and some of these other companies that are making these grow fast stuff. I know that. So my chances of eating something that's truly nutritious and not polluted is better. Because I'm not eating the poison bovine. 424-227-9461 if you want to chime in on the conversation. Looks like the whole cast of characters bailed out on me today. Oh, no, there's Alfie. Where the hell you been? What's up, Alfie?
Well, good afternoon, Lee. I was listening to Joe Myers.
Yeah.
And he's still chugging along.
Oh, my goodness.
He's the real deal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Lee, you know, you were talking about the young man who got all the scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
And the naysayers, and you couldn't figure out what was wrong with them and why they were dumping on the young man.
Right.
How many times do I have to tell you it's a war?
Yeah, you're right.
And you would realize that if you weren't backed by George Soros, you elitist liberal. Let me get some more adjectives in here. You see, Lee, this is what they do.
Yep, they do.
And one thing you have to understand, they never go home.
Nope. They never go to sleep. They stay on the grind. They're nonstop. They're worse than hip-hop. They don't stop.
Well, they've got all of the think tanks
Yep.
constantly working on all of these fake scandals, these made-up guilt by association bovine. You know,
but I mean,
but come on,
Alfie. Don't they have any shame at all?
Shame is not their game. Winning and power is what they're looking for. They don't care about your insight into their hypocrisy. They don't give a damn about being a hypocrite. Listen to, just go down the line, Lee. They've accused these survivors of this mass murder of being teen actors, and that they staged this. You've got this Roseanne Barr who just re-upped her show for a comeback or something, and she's talking about the child sex slave operation going on in the basement of the pizzeria run by Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. Now, this is someone who just got his show back.
Yeah.
And she's carrying the dirty water for this idiot in the White House. How big of an idiot does she have to be? And don't tell me this was something that they're saying to promote or to egg on the show. Because this is what she really believes. When I tell you that this is a war, this is a war. This is a war now, this is a war for our democracy. This is a war against the oligarchs and the Russian mob. And the Democrats are what? Silent.
Yeah.
They sit back. How many hypotheticals and scandal scenarios could I come up with? I come up with about 100 of them for Donald Trump. He's Hitler's puppet all the way. The Republican Senate and House are basically complicit in all of this. Because by now there should be impeachment hearings going on. The mere fact that you see, let's get them, let's try to get them in order. Devin Nunes, first of all, he got information from the White House, and then at night, in his Uber and in his Inspector Gadget hat, with his dark glasses, he ran back to the White House under the auspices that he was going to inform them of inside information that the Congressional Intelligence Committee was coming up with. When it came out that they first got the information from the White House. Then it's Devin Nunes with the memo that came out that's only half right. The FBI says it was factually missing information, which means it was BS. But the right wing, Fox News, the Republican senators, the Republican Congress, they all took it and ran with it. People like Jim Jordan, Lindsey Graham, Chuck Grassley, go down the line. Did you see where the slick, greasy-head congressman who was the head of the email and Benghazi committees? I can't think of his name right now, but
yeah,
he says that he was embarrassed about how he behaved in Congress and how he behaved on the committees. Well, hell, it's too late. You've succeeded. He was a part of the major movement to destroy Hillary Clinton.
Yep.
And she still got more votes than this clown. But I think all of these people have to get in their minds that they've been had. Look at what the president is saying. Caravans of people are coming up from Nicaragua. Where their destination isn't the United States. Their destination is Mexico City.
Right.
And now they've dispersed. Yeah, because they've reached Mexico City.
Right. But see, he used that as a distraction and justification to send a bunch of military people down on the line. What are you going to do? It's a waste of time and money. And it's a distraction to keep your mind on that bullshit, so that you're not thinking about the fact that the investigation is moving forward and he's still a part of the conversation.
And let alone the fact that the money they'll spend to send the guard down there, they could have solved the lead in the water in Flint, Michigan.
That's right.
And in many other cities.
And the amount of money he spends every weekend to go down to his resort in Florida could be used for something better than what it's being used at. And he had the audacity to complain about Obama and how often he played golf.
That's what I meant about they have no shame about their hypocrisy.
Yeah.
And the Fox Newses of the world, and now you've got Sinclair Broadcasting. Did you see where it's not 50 million identifications that Cambridge...
Yeah. 87 million.
It's 87 million.
Right.
So that might be bordering around $3.5 to $4 trillion that the FTC needs to fine Facebook. Now, this was an agreement entered into in 2011 after Facebook had been busted before, when it only cost $16,000 for each infraction.
Right.
Now it's up to $40,000 for each infraction.
Damn.
And the 87 million will put this well over 4 million, maybe 5 million. Somebody do the math.
5 trillion.
Trillion, you're right, trillion.
Yeah. That'll put them out of business.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And look at what Cambridge Analytica did. Cambridge Analytica, once they were busted, they just opened a new company.
Yep.
That's doing the same thing. And this is what are the name of the billionaires that are backing it?
All of this stuff needs to be deemed illegal in every fashion, not just Facebook. You know, whether it's being done on Twitter or Instagram, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of other social media platforms they can go to disperse this type of or to gain this kind of information. Now, I'm just getting some breaking news here, folks, that they're beginning to expose some of the people that are on that list. And, Alfo, your name is on that list. They got all your information.
Which list?
That 87 million.
Oh, yeah. What they gonna do with it?
They got your information, man. You were on that hot list.
They can mine all they want. They will get nothing but black coal.
That's too funny. Well, I'm sure there's some people out there that are concerned of whether or not their name was in that 87 million. But if they got mine, they can't use any of my information, because I wouldn't vote for a damn Republican if you paid me $87 million.
Well, see, that's the whole thing.
Well, maybe I would. Maybe I would.
I'd
find one to vote for.
We have been hacked.
We'd be Donald Trump.
We have been personally hacked.
Yeah.
This is the definition of individuals being hacked.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what people need to realize. I saw a story, and I'm trying to remember what it was about, but it was obvious that, it was a black guy with dreadlocks, and he had this little sweet talk about him, and there was this black woman in a dashiki. And they were talking about Obama and what Obama had done and the negatives about how Obama, that was no one but a Russian troll farm. And that's what I mean about you have to be careful what you take in and what you believe. Now, this was from a site I've never heard about. I knew nothing, absolutely nothing about it. And I simply dismissed it as Russian trolls. Everything that comes out of a Democrat's mouth in front of a microphone should be Trump, the Putin puppet, has said this. Or Trump, the Putin what do they call him, useful idiot, has said that Putin wants a trade war. Trump has given it to him. Now, all of these people in the red states with the soybeans and the alcohol and the pork and all of the things that China's going to drop this tariff on, and I guarantee you, Trump is going to come to his senses, and this will not happen. So now, what will we have? We will have a full 3 or 4 months of uncertainty. That's one of the words Republicans like to use when it comes to their market, the stock market, and their money.
Yep. Uncertainty.
And it's just, oh, by the way, to people who don't pay attention and people who don't understand, and frankly, for people who go to work day to day and they're in a rut, they're in a grind.
Yeah.
They're just trying to make ends meet. So when they hear this stuff, or they don't hear it, they're susceptible to nonsense and fake news.
Yeah.
Their MO is admit nothing, deny everything, and accuse everyone of what you're guilty of. And they are guilty of what what do they call it? Deep state? They are the deep state. They are the underminers of the FBI, the CIA, the NSA. Our intelligence community has been, let's put it nicely, sullied. It's been sullied. And this is why they were looking for back channels to the Kremlin, because Donald Trump and all of these Republican helpers, his family and everything, are a part of this plot to destroy our democracy. This is treason of the highest order. And people simply don't get it. People don't understand. You got people talking about, well, they knew somebody or somebody knew somebody. I understand that there are people who are not racist. Everybody's not a racist. Everybody may be prejudiced and everybody may be bigots, but everybody's not racist, because the definition is you must have the power to affect that person's life. So when you hear people talking about, we're all racist, we are all of this, no. If I turn on the television and I see 2 guys boxing in the ring, and one guy's black, one guy's not, I go, come on, brother. And that's just natural. I don't wish the other guy any ill, but I don't want him to win.
Exactly.
That's prejudice.
Yeah.
And I cop to that. But as far as being a racist, the Native Americans that have been so violated, destroyed, have the biggest argument. Absolutely. But their argument hadn't been made. Their argument, it is fine for Native Americans to hitch their wagons to the African American argument, because we're going in the same direction. Hitch along, you can take a ride. And the reason I say that is because I haven't seen 2 Native Americans in the same room ever. That's how thoroughly devastated that culture, that race has been.
Almost eliminated completely.
Almost eliminated completely.
Yeah,
and hey, I'm on their side.
Me too.
Because it's headed this way.
Yeah, it was a double down, man. The stuff that was going on during that time. Now, what do you think of this raid they did on these? What was it? 3 or 4 Russians at the airport yesterday. What do you think they found anything they didn't already know?
Well, no. But see, what people don't understand is the diplomats that were kicked out with the latest ban of expulsions from the United States. These aren't get out and don't come back. they're replacing these spies with more spies,
Yeah.
with different spies.
Yeah.
So these sanctions aren't effective. They mean absolutely nothing. If you don't go after the oligarchs, the Russian mob that have their money and their investments here in the West, if you don't go after them, you're doing nothing. And Donald Trump will never go after them. As it is, Paul Manafort is in a rock and a hard spot. If he flips, he's going to end up poisoned. I'm very surprised that Gates is still alive because he hasn't been in jail. And if he ain't poisoned yet, he very well may die before he gets to a courtroom to testify.
He better go into witness protection, huh?
He better go into witness protection because the former spy in Britain and his daughter, they put that crap on their door.
Yeah.
On a doorknob.
Yep.
That's where the highest concentration of radiation. And when they came out and closed the door, came out the door.
It's over.
There's a new meaning to shut the front door.
You better say, nah, I'm good. Nah, I'm going to leave it open. Let me moonwalk out of here.
And the mere fact that they're on foreign soil poisoning people should bring the biggest sanctions against Russia. They should be attacking these oligarchs who hold on to all of this money and all of these condos. You know how much money Trump has made through Russia selling them condos? $100 million.
Is it that much?
It's that much.
Wow.
But you remember he said, I don't know any Russians. I have no dealings with Russians.
Yeah.
All the while you're selling
straight up lie.
Condos to them.
Straight up lie. $100 million he's made off of condos selling to Russia?
$100 million. $100 million.
That's crazy. That's crazy, man. I mean, see, stuff like that, when you hear these type of reports, and I'm assuming that it's from a credible source, but if it's true that this is the case, that in itself should disqualify anybody from running for the presidency. That's a conflict, man. How are you going to do business with our enemies? How is that cool? How is that okay?
Well, line that up with the fee that Hillary was charging Wall Street for a speech. Now, which is worse?
Well,
and that's what I mean by messaging, Lee. You allow that type of bombardment on Hillary Clinton, and she allowed it to, without pushing back, talking about the $100 million that Trump has made off selling condos to the Russian mob. And that should have been the topic. That should have been the go-to pushback on Trump.
It's crazy, man. I just don't understand. It's beyond my wildest dreams that we'd be dealing with this kind of chaos in the United States of America. I just don't get it. It's beyond my comprehension.
Well,
I don't know how we got here.
Don't remember now. This was in front of the American people for a long time.
Yeah.
Now, these particular reports, Trump sold 40 million real estate to Russian oligarchs for $100 million. The market value, this is in Newsweek, the market value of the condos was $40 million. That in and of itself is eye-opening. But he sold it to him for $100 million, approximately 2.5 times what it was worth.
Wow. So they own him.
That's
he's been
why
bought
he's
and paid
doing
for.
what he. That's why he's doing it. His job was to come in and to lift the sanctions, especially the sanctions that stopped the sale with Exxon and the Russian oil company, $500 billion worth. But for the sanctions from the Obama administration, that was shut down, and that is what he was supposed to lift. And now you got Wyden, who sits on the Senate Intelligence Committee, that is investigating alleged collusion between Trump and Russia. He wrote the transactions between Trump and oligarch Dmitry Roblev is being probed by special counsel Robert Mueller. Don't think Robert Mueller don't know he's everywhere. I think you're going to find when this stuff hits the fan, I think Trump will be the largest money launderer in American history.
Now, he's supposed to be meeting with Putin soon, right?
Why? Yeah.
He's coming to the White House.
Oh yeah. Why not? So you poison a few former spies in England. So you make a video showing that you got a missile that'll F us up.
So what do you think that conversation is going to be like? And will it be a private conversation held at some point, or will it be people from both governments, the associates or cabinet members there at the same time?
No. The only people that'll be there is Putin and the Russian press.
So they won't be able to have a, come on, man, like you got to lighten up on those sanctions, and
No.
I gave you the $100 million, and come on, man,
No, none of that. None of that.
Now, listen, you agreed that we do these real estate deals and I'd get something in return. Well, I'm not getting a return on my investment, man. You got to lighten up on these sanctions and shit. Okay, now let's go back out there and smile and say we worked out our differences.
No.
And you're gonna get this shit up off my neck, right? This is Putin talking to him.
Putin will reach across and slap him with a backhand and go, "Bitch, get these sanctions off me." Because that's what it is. That's their relationship.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, how could it be anything else? How is it possible for it to be any other relationship other than, bitch, I own you. You my bitch. And you treat me like somebody you don't know. You better get in line.
If Democrats don't take the House, it's checkmate.
Yeah, you're right about that. But that's got to happen. That's got to. There are enough people in this country that are awakened or woke, understand, they get it. Even some of the people that voted for this guy are now saying, "Oh shit, man, I didn't think it was gonna be like this." The farmers, the farmers getting ready to get jacked.
Yeah, they're gonna get jacked. But see, a lot of them are too stupid to understand why they're getting jacked. All Trump is going to do is give them an alternative reason that they're getting jacked, and it's going to be George Soros and the elitist liberal.
Yeah,
there's a socialist commie Democrat.
He can't even sell that bullshit because listen, it's the
Why
stuff
not?
that he's no. I say maybe I'm wrong, Alfie, and I'm giving too much credit to people in this country. That if somebody's got some needle nose pliers on your balls and they're telling you, hey, man, everything's going to feel better in a minute. And you say, well, yeah, as soon as you get this needle nose pliers off my nuts, then, yeah, I will feel better. But you got vice grips on me now. So I think people will feel, once they feel that pain, they will become sane and say, yo, Trump, you ain't right, and you're out. And everybody that supports you is out. And the spineless Republicans and some of the spineless Democrats, y'all better wake up. And I mean right now, because your day is coming November 6, 2018. And if I was 40 years younger, I'd run for office, madam.
You can run now, Lee.
No, I ain't got time.
Is it the skeletons in your closet?
Well, I'm sure there might be 400 or 500 in there, but that's irrelevant. Hell, if Trump can do it, I can do it. And my shit ain't nowhere near as egregious as his. So, no. But I wouldn't want the job.
And you're a black man.
Well, we broke that one. So, I mean, Obama made it a little bit easier for me. But no, man, I wouldn't want that job for nothing in the world. Because they would assassinate me on day one.
Well,
not that I'm afraid to die.
Chance.
I'm not afraid to die.
Well, Eric Holder is talking about running. You see the field day coming on the criticism of Eric Holder?
Oh well, you know.
Now he's the one. He's the one that's trading guns with the illegals, and a agent got killed. They have no problem resurrecting the phony scandals, the things that have already been debunked.
Yeah, that's true. They will do that.
They have no problem, and they have help doing it with Fox News and all of the other Republicans who aren't shy going to the microphone and regurgitating these lies.
That's true. We have a caller on the line. Welcome to the Lee Michaels Show. Who do we have?
Take a guess.
Lord have mercy. How you doing, man?
Hey, man, you have done a great show today. I was working while I was, that's why I didn't call, because I was working while you were doing your thing, and I really found some educational stuff today.
Well, good.
I really appreciate listening to you instead of joining you. But I'm going to tell you something.
What?
Out here in White World, I walk up in the Republic. I walk up in these Republicans' faces. Hey, voted for Trump, huh? And you will see them turn red and drop their head. And
don't embarrass people, man. Come on, don't make them feel bad.
Oh, hell no. You voted for this motherfucker. Now you're trying to take your shit. Oh, he wasn't supposed to do that. I thought he was, Everybody, he thinks this is a TV show. He's running like a show, not a damn country. But he's white. He's white, and he wants the white way. Okay, now you got the white way. He learns how to take and not give you shit. Especially if you poor. Especially if you're black. And you know, the only reason I walked into a room with more than one Native American is that I stumbled upon their festival they're having at a college down here.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, dude, I'm going to tell you, when Native Americans talk about whatever they abuse, I stay silent. There ain't nothing I can say. Period. I'm a black man. You've been treated worse. Hey, when I tell white people don't understand, they were from coast to coast. Now they just think they were little tribes now that hung around America with nothing to do. That's what the books are trying to do, is to tell them. And they're trying to take away slavery, the points of slavery, the facts of slavery. And they're doing it very well. And on this, with this election coming up, a lot of Republicans are not voting. So that means if we come out and vote, we will have the Senate, okay, to upset this man at least for the next 2 years and get him out of there. But even like I said, man, you know, the only thing they broadcast us about us is that 7 people got shot in Chicago, and it was all gang related. And they want more gun control. I don't think you won't. I'm taking it from the subject a little bit here, but they're concentrating more on gun control instead of gang violence.
Yeah, it's
See?
funny that you mentioned that story because I have it here on my iPad in front of me. I just clicked on it like 5 seconds before you brought that up.
I'm psyche.
Yeah, you are psycho too. But that's
7
another.
shot in 12 hours.
Yeah. So
That's all gang stuff.
give us the local point of view on that, Alfie. What's being said locally there in Chicago about this 7
Duck.
shooting? Duck.
Duck. Well, let me put it like this.
Was it all gang related? Is that what's being said locally?
Yes, yes, yes. And when you hear people talking about there's no marches when black people are killing black people, there ain't no marches when white people are killing white people.
You don't see that.
And what,
You know, you got to go online and go to different states and look this stuff up because they got white folks doing some heinous crimes, eating babies, and it's just, you know, I'm gonna start putting some stuff out there, find some stuff for these crimes for people to know, and I believe Facebook will probably cut me off. But I'm sorry for cutting you off, but like I want to come home. I'm from Chicago. Until they get their gun laws straight for carry, you know, dude, they could do so much with what they got. If 4 people on a block had shotguns, you know, and wasn't afraid to use them.
Come on, that ain't gonna stop anything. That just
Dude,
means more
all right.
people are gonna be killed. Even the people with the shotgun, if they don't know what the hell they're doing with it. So
I didn't say that. See, there you go. You just think me to go say have a shotgun, go ahead. We talk about training, man.
Well, okay, but see, most people are not going to do that. So you got to.
If I give them the shotgun, they're going to have to do that.
Well, okay, but see,
here,
so what you're talking
I don't
about
have to worry about this because I have guns all around me, and I don't mean in my house.
Well, but that's okay. But what I'm saying is this: what you just said. Okay, they're going to buy a shotgun. They got to be trained. Got to know how to use it, right? Well,
yes.
Well, that's good as long as they have the mental capacity and they don't have any criminal background or no crazy hate instilled in them. Then yeah, they should go through some kind of training. And yeah, it is. So there's already enough guns out there in the wrong hands, including these clowns out there in the streets in Chicago. They're in the wrong hands.
I'm going to give you something non-violent that we can do, okay?
Okay.
What people can do as a block. The dope man and the dope houses, go as a block and tell these men they got to go. Don't go as an individual because they can't kill the whole block. They can't kill them.
They'll damn near try.
You know what, dude? When the whole block goes against, come and say you got to stop. If you don't stop, you need to cut it down. And it used to be that if any dope area, they didn't have crimes. You didn't get robbed.
Yeah.
You know, but those days are changing. You know, we don't even talk about the Arukins in Chicago when they was popular, man, because, you know.
The who Rukins?
Arukins.
No. You don't mean no El Rukins.
What do I mean?
You might mean the Blackstone Rangers.
Rangers, yeah.
Oh, I do, but I tell you what, wherever they had a building, there was no crime.
Well, that was
a 4-block radius.
That was a different kind of gang mindset too.
It really was, man. It really was.
They appreciated where they lived, and they protected.
But see, you have to realize this is what happened. This is what happened to the gangs. They caught that leader, then the next one step up. Then the next leader get killed, shot, or then the next one step up. Now you down to what you got now is people that are raised on videos, rap music, and games. They don't know what the power. They know how to. If I shoot somebody and kill somebody, I know I get this at such time. They need to stop all that. They need to start getting. But what they need to start doing is having a national papers where what you do, this is what you get. Yeah. But that's not going to work because we already got that. It's called the law. See, when white people go do something, right now I'm on probation because I said something to a white guy. I'm on probation for 2 years. Okay,
and if he was
black,
didn't you?
I'd have no problem. But he's a white gay guy. And there's more gay people than are here than there are black people.
Well, that's true. I mean, well, where you are, certainly.
Yeah. Well, see, I'm at the town next door. Excuse me for starting the town next door, Salem. But dude, I don't know. They're not going to approach me. So what I do is when they get nasty, I sue them. I got 2 lawsuits in now. I ain't got to fight you. And plus, there's a law against, not a law against slapping people, but there's something called a Measure 11.
Yeah.
If you just wantonly just slap somebody, that's 6 years in prison automatically.
Well, that's
and somehow,
assault.
I think they've tried to give me 6 years period.
That's assault. Whether you slap or open hand
fist. That's 6 years in prison here.
Yeah. Damn.
See, in Chicago, what I want to do is find somebody I really don't like, ship them to Chicago, slap the shit out of them there, and put them back on the plane.
Boy, you need help. That's why I call you Lord Have Mercy, because...
Hey, I know how to do it, man. Come on, let's take a trip to Chicago. Yeah, we're going as far as O'Hare.
Yeah.
You just get back on the plane and go back.
All right, Lord have mercy. I've had enough of you today.
You have a blessed day, Dan. Man, I'll see you next Tuesday.
All right, bye.
Bye.
See, Alpha, you brought the hate out in that guy.
I brought the hate out in him?
Yeah, you did it. That was your fault. Woo! What was that? Oh, Lord, you're a trip. Hey, man, thank you for coming in today. I appreciate having you on here with me, because otherwise, I'd go off on everybody.
Somebody had to come in.
Yep. You came in and kind of leveled me out, because I was just getting ready to go on one of my rants. Well, listen, have a great day, and be safe there in Chicago, and continue to duck. Otherwise, that's your ass.
Oh, yeah.
All right, folks, we'll see you next Tuesday right here on thepowerofvoices.com, Facebook and YouTube. And maybe we might start doing a little live broadcasting on Instagram. I don't know. What y'all think? Leave a comment in the chat there. Have a great weekend. Be safe. God bless.